He is the most famous person in the world.
We have seen Michael Jackson morph from a very handsome young black man into a middle-aged white woman.
Odd.
The greatest.
Perfect. Amazing.
White.
Sounds okay.
For the first time, Liquid Assets reveals the secrets behind Jacko's millions. The exclusive skin lightening cream, unique footage from the child abuse claims. We've got music and pictures that have never been broadcast before.
And we'll show you what's behind this high-security door. It's the world's biggest Michael Jackson memorabilia collection. It lays bare some of his most personal and intimate secrets, and it's our world exclusive. This is the story of the most astonishing records. It's not just astronomical sales of vinyl and CD,
$20 million a month.
but of the biggest profits in music history.
He made mincemeat out of Sony.
And the business deals that took Jackson to the top of the financial world. So what on earth am I doing here in Gary, Indiana? Well, believe it or not, this is where it all started. The story of Thriller, the story of chimps, of too much plastic surgery. This is where the tale of Jackson's riches started, in relative rags.
Our mission to reveal what Michael Jackson's really worth starts with a world-exclusive early Jackson recording.
Now just turn this corner and we'll get to the Jackson's old school. There it is. Just listen to my windscreen wipers for this. Quality car this, isn't it? And just down here is where they live.
This raw demo track has never been broadcast before.
Okay, 2 hours of useless map reading later, and finally we're here. 2300 Jackson Street, that one there. Let me remind you, 9 children, 2 bedrooms and 2 parents. That's a busy household. Let's go and have a look. Hello, I'm from the BBC Liquid Assets. I understand Michael Jackson used to live here.
He's been gone for 30 years. 30 years.
30 years, okay. Not a great conversation I'll have for you, but maybe he's a bit bored of people asking by now.
Just across town at Mr. Lucky's, they were less tight-lipped. 7-year-old Jacko and the band earned their first wage here, a tiny $7 topped up by an enthusiastic crowd.
So this is where it all happened, the late 60s, the absolute heyday of the Jacksons in Mr. Lucky's.
Yes.
And they were performing just there. What was it like in here?
Oh, the audience would get very excited, and they really enjoyed the Jackson vibe. They came often to see them.
And how many people were kind of packed in here?
50 to 100.
They were very entertaining, and people showed their appreciation. Sometimes it's shown in the form of throwing a little cash money on the stage. $1, $2, $10, $15, $20, you know, that adds up, you know.
Then they brought the house down. Sadly, fire did the same to Mr. Lucky's a few years ago. At that time, Joseph Jackson was earning less than $10,000 a year at the local steelworks. The family was surviving with the help of handouts, and the kids were at Garnered Elementary School.
That's the school where I taught, and I taught some of the Jacksons at the time when they were coming up. Female teachers loved Michael. He could do no wrong. You know, he was a little mischievous at times, but he could get away with things because he was Michael.
Now, there's a story about Michael Jackson's school days which really rings true. When he was told to improve his maths by a teacher so he could count up all his earnings, Jackson's reply was,
My manager would do that for me.
Joseph was determined to make his boys a success, even if that meant constant rehearsals and very strict discipline.
They'd want to go out and play baseball, and they would put the phone outside almost so that they could hear it ring, because he would call them up. And he'd say, yeah, are you guys practicing? And then they'd all run back. Yes, we're practicing. Because they were scared to death of him. Later on, they would tell a story that the reason Michael could dance and twist so well, because he was always trying to escape Joe's wrath. So he was always twisting and turning.
Our exclusive rehearsal tape was made by Gordon Keith from the Steeltown label. Soon after, he put the Jackson 5 on vinyl. He's still got 55 original singles like this, each worth $1,000.
Yeah, this is the record, Big Boy. First record that we ever did on there.
That's the first ever Jackson 5 record?
First ever.
And when it came out, what was the reaction to it?
Well, the reaction to it is everybody liked it. They thought it would be a big hit. I knew that this record would launch the Jacksons, and so, but I was excited.
Big music names had already rejected the group, so in 1967, Joseph Jackson signed up to Steeltown for 3 cents a record.
This is a contract that started them on their way. It started it all for them.
Without this, no Michael Jackson, no Jacksons.
Absolutely. It would have still been in Gary.
And then it's in my hands.
You got it in your hands, but it's not doing either one of us any good right now.
The Jackson 5, pictured here with drummer Johnny, was soon released to pursue a bigger label. Gordon Keith thought in return the family would invest in Steeltown and help develop local musical talent, but it never happened.
Did you feel bitter then when the Jackson 5 kind of bailed out and went to Motown?
Not bitter, but I certainly was unhappy about it, because you're talking about a group that was turned down by all of the majors, including Motown, about 2 times before I got to them, you know. So really, I was their last chance to make it. How much money do I think I lost?
Yeah.
Since the good Lord has blessed me with good ears and how to pick pretty good, talented people, I figure I probably lost a couple $1 billion. Couple billion dollars.
However, Michael made as little as an estimated £3,000 with Steeltown in Gary.
Well, the Jacksons had very humble beginnings. I mean, they're sort of the classic rags to riches story.
But that's exactly what Michael Jackson and his brothers did say to Gary. With a whiff of money in their nostrils, they were off. But Gary's loss was the Jacksons' gain, as Motown took the group to the big time, and everybody realised Michael was a star in the making.
You could see it from show to show. They get better and better and better. And sometimes I would stand there, and it was mind-boggling. It was like, this is a special, special individual, blessed by God.
Richard Aarons was the Jacksons' co-manager and lawyer for 14 years. In his first ever UK TV interview, he says Joseph went it alone with Motown.
After the Steeltown contract expired, Joe went to Motown. I don't think he consulted with anybody. He basically signed whatever they gave him to sign, because everybody wanted a record contract. Motown was, at that time, the hottest company going. But in terms of the amount of money that they got, it was not a lot of money.
Nevertheless, Michael still wanted to know where it was going.
He was very interested about his financial future and whether or not things were going well, and what did we own, and what kind of real estate we had.
Motown tightly controlled the Jacksons, and they didn't like it.
Motown wanted to make the artist into a star, and they would start to dress the artist, tell the artist how to appear, and when they did this to Joe, he disliked it, and he just wanted to get away from it.
The Jackson 5 sold 11 million records for Motown, but in 1976 they left for more artistic freedom and for more money.
They were making probably, maybe each individual member a half a cent maybe on each record that was sold. And you know, at that estimate, that means that maybe when it was all said and done, Michael Jackson may have made a couple $100,000 for all those wonderful hits that were produced on Motown.
So Michael may have made just £170,000, and Motown kept all future royalties.
On his first international tour in 1972, Michael Jackson was paid a measly $5 a week pocket money. He said he spent it on art supplies. probably whitewash. Now it's reckoned he spends a whopping $12,000 a day. I've always wanted to do this. Ready? So how did Jacko hit the jackpot? Well, it was as easy as... Whether you actually like the shape of his ever-changing nose or not, there's no doubt that Michael Jackson can smell a hit and a good business deal. Music has been the baseline for every cent of Jacko's fortune. But the megabucks only started rolling in from his solo career with his new record label, CBS, though the boss took some convincing.
Michael, then, his big song was a song about a dead rat named Ben, if you recall that one. And I said, I'm giving millions of dollars to these kids, and the lead is singing about a dead rat. You know, I don't know if I want to do this. But we did anyhow. And at the beginning, the first album or two as the group were not all that great in terms of sales.
But in '79, Off the Wall blew those doubts away. Jacko's first solo album on CBS sold an impressive 15 million and produced 4 big hits.
He's grown up. He made it. I mean, you actually thought when Off the Wall was a success, Michael Jackson was now an adult. His Jackson 5 youth was behind him.
No prizes for guessing what Jacko produced next. Thriller, the album of the decade.
It was unbelievable. Something like that had never happened before. We were selling in the United States alone 1 million albums a week. So maybe you make $5 a record, you're making $5 million a week. So you're making $20 million a month. And worldwide, we were making even more because money was pouring in, or, you know, from everywhere. And there was another one of those phenomenons where sometimes you're better off just taking your hands off and letting it go.
Thriller sold more than 50 million copies, a figure that's never been topped. The king of pop had won his crown.
I don't think he had in mind, you know, a particular number. I think he wanted to be the biggest artist in the world and earn more than anybody else and have a higher royalty than anyone else.
For 20 years, this man has trained the Jackson vocal style that started with Off the Wall.
Michael sings more high C's in one song than some of the opera singers singing an entire opera. He uses his voice sometimes very percussively. You know, all these little yelps and things that he does, you know, and then, you know, and of course, sometimes he's just out and out going to falsetto. Ow! You know, just things like that. Just crazy little things that he has become very identified with. But he constantly is trying to find different things to do with his voice.
And when the legendary Quincy Jones produced the Thriller album, Seth Riggs got Jacko warmed up.
So I just want you to have him roaring like a Ferrari. I want him really tuned up. So we worked 2 hours every day. We would do 6 days a week. And he would stop his vocalization and step right up to the mic and go.
The triumph of Thriller, 1 album, 7 hit singles, reached its peak with Motown's 25th birthday celebration. Jacko and the Moonwalk went stratospheric. Thriller's success was truly astonishing. The album earned Jacko $127 million, nearly £88 million, and he was well on the way to conquering a new spin-off, the pop video.
By modern standards, all this is a bit basic, but way back in the 1970s, Jackson's pioneering pop videos showed everybody else the way.
MTV had just opened up, and America in particular was just getting this dyad of music videos, and Michael established himself as the king of the music video. Right place, right time, right talent.
Rough and tough as a beat-it knife man, Vincent Pattison went on to choreograph and direct a string of Jackson videos.
You know, I got the opportunity to work with Michael a lot during sort of what I call the heyday, you know, and at that point everything was always a rush, especially as a choreographer-director, because you knew that, first of all, your work was going to be seen by half the people on the globe. The fun part of the years I worked with Michael was that in every video we sort of played with different techniques. I mean, I took stuff in Smooth Criminal and gave him the first bit of partner dancing that he had ever done or that most people had ever seen on MTV, as well as some effect things, you know, with those guys leaning over and all. When I did Black White, I pulled in dances from all over the world, and then Michael learned little snippets of pieces that were international folk dances, basically. So Michael has never shied away from any form of dance at all, whether from street dance to Russian, whatever the hell it's called, you know? He's the best male dancer that's ever appeared on music videos, ever, in the history of music video, and probably ever will be. Michael would work a move 20 to 100 times nonstop, repeatedly, until it was so in his body that he never had to think about it. Consequently, when it came out, it always looked like it just flowed. And his energy when he moves, it's sort of like if you're in the room with him and he moves, you get, look, this is really, I have goosebumps right now just talking about this, you know. It's something that you don't quite know until you experience it.
Vincent also danced in Thriller, directed by John Landis. Here, he's on the left. Michael has yet to visit makeup.
When people saw the video, that was really a groundbreaker. You know, this sort of choreographed dance. And I saw it sitting with Diana Ross, you know, actually the first time. And even someone as jaded as I had become by then, you know, said, wow, you know, this is really something else.
It's black. It's white. Since Thriller, Michael Jackson doesn't make humble pop videos. Instead, he makes movie extravaganzas, and the ever-increasing multi-million-dollar budgets are only matched by the ever-increasing hype. Black and White is a classic example. It was simultaneously premiered to TV audiences in 27 countries. Thriller was the first pop promo that sold as a home video, but the man who set the trend has surprisingly only made $20 million, that's £14 million, from videos, taking his total earnings so far to just over £100 million. 1983 was the year of the Jacko. Thriller had taken him to dizzy heights. All he had to do was stay there.
Wow, look at this.
There's a lot of shit in here, I'm telling you.
So the world had caught Jacko fever. Everything he touched turned to gold. Great news for the man who seized our exclusive haul of Jackson family memorabilia.
This is Michael's, isn't it?
Yes, it is. These he wore on stage.
Randy's boots. Can you come in and get that? Look, there's Randy on it. Just if you need proof, there it is. Pictures, just old black.
Oh yeah, there's photographs. There's photographs that the public has never seen of the family. Probably 10,000 photographs.
Look at all these slides.
There's boxes of slides, not just one or two. There's boxes of all their early concerts and them at home and leisure. Personal family photographs.
Have you catalogued them? Do you know what's in there?
I can't. I haven't even started.
Nobody else has filmed this collection, won by West Coast businessman Henry Vaccaro following a court battle over an unpaid debt.
I never even knew that.
That's my present to you. I found it for you.
It's my pleasure to accept this on behalf of the Jackson family. This is original Motown. 2 million copies of ABC. This is 1 million copies of Rockin' Robin. For 500,000 copies of Bad. The star of the Jacksons in the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. This, we believe, is one of Michael's earliest costumes.
Oh, wow. That is early, isn't it?
Yes,
He must have been around.
costumes, tour jackets. This one here happens to be Tito's tour jacket. Is Michael Jackson's stage costumes.
Oh, look at this. It was a bulletproof vest. That's incredible. How much do you think these are worth?
I have no idea. No idea.
So surely, just a selection of costumes like that, that's got to be, what, $100,000 worth?
I had talked to a collector, and at one time we had seized the Thriller piano. And the collector told me that if Michael just sat on a piano seat and farted, it's worth $150,000.
You've marked it
It's
for
marked.
us.
I marked it liquid assets before I even knew who you were. And the reason it's liquid assets because there's a statement in there, a weekly statement from his accountant that lists his liquidity each week.
So how much is it? Read the figures out for me, because it's upside
Well,
down.
liquid investments are $19,662,728.
That's on the 11th of August, 1984. I've just spotted a filing cabinet.
In there you'll find contracts of Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson. It'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. I mean, an inside look into the workings of a famous family. I mean, I almost feel like I'm invading their privacy.
Latoya Janet underwear up there as well. I'm worried all this stuff's going to collapse on top of me and I'm going to die in a heap of Jackson memorabilia. Oh, now this does make me feel slightly bizarre. I mean, do you think you'll get a good price for this kind of stuff?
Well, Howard Stern might like this. I don't know.
This place is full of surprises. Ooh. That's a Jackson 5 drum set.
Jackson 5 drum set. And if you turn around, there's the tom-tom drums with Randy Jackson's name on them. There's handwritten lyrics that Michael wrote, and then later on we found a type song based on the handwritten lyrics. A Christmas card from Eric Estrada.
All right. Look at that.
That's Ponch from 80s TV cop show Chips.
And these are some sketches that he drew on just a plain old yellow pad.
This is Michael Jackson's mother, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Does it make you feel slightly awkward that you've got some very personal belongings of another family?
In a way it does. But, you know, I felt awkward too when they owed me all the money and didn't pay me.
Michael there.
Henry hopes this lot will sell at auction for more than $1 million, so the location's a closely guarded secret.
It's the original Motown identification card of Michael Jackson.
That's how he looks. Now that's dated 29th of the 8th, 1970.
Yes.
Now how many boxes like this have you got?
Of Michael's, maybe 3 like this of Michael's. Then there's boxes of Latoya's, there's boxes of Joseph and Catherine, there's 3 boxes of Jackson 5, and there's 3 boxes.
We're back in the warehouse later for more personal and financial Jackson revelations.
With such a global high profile, big business wanted a slice of the Jacko fizz. And as the advertising and sponsorship deals flooded in, so did the money.
For the king of pop, Pepsi was an obvious choice, and Bob Giraldi, who directed Beat It and Say, Say, Say with Paul McCartney, was also in charge for the series of adverts.
It was quite groundbreaking. A star of Michael Jackson's magnitude endorsing a cola. Today, you'd think nothing of it. Then, my God, Michael Jackson is going to sell Pepsi. In fact, the world didn't even know he didn't drink it.
You're a whole new generation. You're dancing through the day. You're grabbing for the magic on the run. You're a whole new generation.
But this was an advertising campaign which had an unexpected impact when in 1983 Jacko's hair caught fire during filming.
You're the Pepsi generation.
We wanted to do one more take that had more sparks, more fire, more explosion. And unfortunately, the pyrotechnic part of it got away from us and And it went up. And it went up and down in a matter of 7, 8, 10 seconds. He struggled with it, came down the stairs, fell to his feet, was great pain because the fire is intense, and it went out. And from that, you can tell all the stories you want, but I was there, I saw it, I had 5 cameras on it. It was an unfortunate accident that sometimes does happen, and there's no excuse.
That was one of the biggest endorsement deals around at the time. He was getting, I think, an estimated $5 million or so per year, and the ads became so incredibly popular that, in fact, I think it was in Russia where they had never even shown advertisements for American products. They asked for the ad.
And in the States, the ads were so eagerly awaited, they were listed in TV guides. He wasn't just selling soda he wouldn't drink. In his heyday, MJ sold clothes, shoes, cuddly toys, perfumes, microphones. Michael Jackson will lend his face to just about anything if it makes him some money. This is his face circa 1985. Some memorabilia, Michael Jackson King of Pop, can of pop, $75. And this is some Michael Jackson chocolate, well past its sell-by date, but still worth $40. The pop star's image is vital to selling music, merchandise, well, pretty much anything. So Jackson's designer, Bill Whitten, has played a crucial role in Michael's financial success. He came up with the trademark glove and socks.
The glove, as well as the rhinestone socks, came about because when I went to concerts and they were playing 40,000-seat arenas, the quick movements that Michael had was often lost. You couldn't see them. And once we put on the rhinestone socks and the glove, every movement of the hand, the feet, the audience could see it. Michael was the star, and out of respect for the star, you always try to give a little extra to the starring person. You can accomplish that through coloring, making sure that the colors are not the same. But Michael, always the focus was focused on Michael. And Michael had the largest budget, so it wasn't a contest.
Was it just limitless? He said, whatever you do,
correct.
The money's for there.
Correct.
By lending his name and his brand to a vast array of products, including Pepsi, Jacko's made $55 million. That's around £38 million, bringing his total earnings to a cool fizzing £140 million. And while Jackson's brand kept the dosh flooding in, the new owners of CBS, Sony, struck one of the biggest music deals ever to keep hold of the main man. In 1991, Sony really got their claws into Michael Jackson by signing him up for 15 years. But hey, Jackson wasn't bothered. It was the kind of monster deal that could have been worth a cool $1 billion.
It's received wisdom in the business that Michael Jackson is a supreme businessman. Whether that's actually true or not, I don't know, but that's what people think. He made mincemeat out of Sony with that deal. I thought, clearly they're mad. I mean, I've heard of loss leaders before, but at the pace he releases records, which is approximately once every 4.5 years, they're not going to get 5 albums out of him until he's nearly 50.
Even so, Jacko albums have sold nearly 150 million copies, earning him nearly $250 million, £157 million, on top of Thriller, pushing his earnings total up to nearly £300 million.
In 1970, the Jackson 5 played their big Motown performance here in South LA, and they took £70,000. How times have changed. When Michael did his last big gig in Madison Square Gardens in New York, he made that kind of money every minute.
More exclusive footage, this time Jacko on stage at the Sultan of Brunei's 50th birthday bash. This was Jacko's indecent proposal, $1 million for just one night. There's nothing modest about Jacko's tours.
You create things differently for video than you create things for stage. Stage, everything has to be bigger and more dramatic because you're dealing with thousands of people watching.
It was an enormous amount of equipment, enormous. We had one truck generator that would provide power for an entire village. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I don't know if there's anybody bigger in most places around the world than Michael Jackson. So anywhere you go, there's a billion people, you know, flocking around you.
And at one point in Brussels, for instance, there wasn't a place big enough to house all the people that wanted to see the show. So we drove outside of town, and at the edge of a woods, we set up the proscenium, and then all the trucks and everything that contributed to the lighting and everything were on the inside. And there were people in the fields for acres and acres and acres.
Michael has always had this tremendous popularity in Asia and Europe. In the late 80s, Michael, in 1 month, made 14, 15 million touring Japan, and undoubtedly made more than that in some of the later years.
In fact, it all adds up to $100 million, or £69 million from touring. That's despite the massive overheads. And the liquid assets totalizer has now soared to £366 million. The money was flooding in from all corners of the world, and Jacko was investing it in the safety of bricks and mortar. This LA security gate hides the Jacksons' first big-time home. Bought in '71 for $250,000, Michael still owns half of it. But this is where Jacko learned his first real lesson in real estate. The family built, ran, then sold off this apartment block and another nearby, making more than $10 million profit in just 3 years, and Michael got his share. But Jacko's biggest solo investment is his Neverland ranch.
Neverland was like, you know, Michael Jackson goes to the circus and he gets to own it. He wanted to get as far away from his parents as he could.
And Randy should know he's been friends with Jacko since they were teenagers.
I mean, you can't even get close to Neverland without being in a helicopter and looking down upon it.
Sounds to me like a challenge. Neverland, 2,700 acres, a fairground, a recording studio, artwork, antiques, a zoo, oh look, the giraffes are out, a miniature railway, a babbling brook.
Contract to purchase Neverland Valley Ranch.
Yes, this is the...
Does this say how much you paid for it?
Yes, it does.
Wow. Agreement to purchase. You just turn over that page and we'll have a look. So the purchase price was...
$17 million.
17 million.
Today, Neverland could be worth as much as $75 million, presuming, of course, you actually want a zoo and a fun fair.
He's got a room full of toys. I'm talking about toys that cost like $50,000, you know, that people have given him. And when I went to see him, this is in the late 80s, he would show off all the toys.
You go on the rides, the bumper cars.
Saw the llama, met the snake.
2 full stories of pinball machines.
Saw the movie marquee, The Girl Is Mine, starring Michael and Paul.
Everything's all lit up just like Disneyland.
He mentally is enjoying these things still.
The merry-go-round or one of those big Viking ships that goes back and forth.
I've never seen a star who used their money in this way.
Tracking down Jacko's properties is no mean feat. It's a bit like getting to the bottom of his tangled finances. Do you know where Michael Jackson's apartment is?
No, sir, I don't know. If you have address, then I can find out for you.
Now, we've tracked down an LA condo called The Hideout, which is appropriate. There's a pad in Malibu and also some properties across Europe. And this is the luxury townhouse that Jacko rented while he was in New York, while recording Invincible with some of the heaviest doors in the world. Hello, I'm Max. All right, thanks for letting me in.
New owner Kathy Lasry showed me around what was home to Jacko for nearly 2 years.
Animals can be eating at the tables, swinging from the chandeliers and stuff. It wasn't furnished, though.
No furniture. Well, actually, there was some, but I threw it away. You want to take the steps or the elevator?
Steps, please.
Okay.
Let me guess, living room.
This is the living room.
Wow, this is big.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, actually, because a lot of neighbours can overlook you, so they could have had a look into Michael Jackson when he was here.
Yeah.
coming up to floor 3?
3.
Three.
Yeah,
Okay.
not including the basement.
The pad's worth $15 million. The rent cost Jacko $2 million.
So this is the
Master
bedroom. Now, do you think this house is more valuable because Michael Jackson slept here?
No. This is the closet.
And,
This is the library.
okay, I'm running out of fingers for these rooms, but this is bedroom number
2.
2. Okay. Have you seen your mother?
5.
Quick test, which floor?
4.
Bedroom.
5.
Bedroom.
5. 6. 4.
Oh, forget it.
Yeah.
Can I? Oh, wow, look at that view. That's fantastic. You
Yeah.
can see everything. So if Michael Jackson rang tonight and said, can I come and stay in my old house, would you say yes?
Absolutely. He's welcome anytime.
What about the animals?
No.
Jacko's other mega investment has been the ATV Music back catalogue. And Jacko did just that, splashing out nearly $50 million to get the rights to 250 Beatles songs and showing his mean streak.
Look at the way he picked up the Beatles catalog. Even though it meant stabbing his old recording partner, Paul McCartney, in the back. Paul McCartney was incredibly heartbroken.
I thought it was a little overpriced. He disagreed, and he went and he did it, and he was right, and I was wrong. Because obviously, the Beatles have sold, what, 100 billion records, you know, since then.
And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me.
Well, the Beatles catalog is huge. I mean, you know, Michael's done a lot of things with the Beatles catalog that Paul doesn't like. You know, Michael has allowed some of those songs to be used in television commercials and things like that. You know, Michael fully intended to exploit that catalog. That's why he bought it. I mean, he fully intended for it to double in its worth, and it really has done that.
With Neverland and other property investments, the Beatles catalogue and his own music, Jacko's assets are worth close to $575 million. That's almost £400 million. So Jacko's wealth, like his fame, had reached unimaginable heights, but scandal and excessive spending were never far away. Jacko's success has been so great that last year he was asked to open the day's trading on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange here in the financial centre of New York. Go on, Jacko, blow the candles out, mate. He's made so much money it would make a Central American country green with envy, but boy, does he know how to spend it. And throughout his career, he spent millions in the courts, with many of his business deals and working relationships ending in litigation.
I never saw a family that was so litigious as this. Everything ends up in litigation with them.
And Henry Vaccaro should know. He sold his renowned Kramer guitar company to Jackson Communications in the early 90s, then fought a tortuous 7-year court battle to get his money.
The only way we could collect the money is to seize some of their assets. They could have easily paid it. They spent more money in lawyers, and they all went through a bankruptcy just to try to beat me. That shows you what kind of people they are.
At one stage, Michael and the Jacksons could have bought this lot back for just $60,000. So what's it worth now?
I would probably conservatively estimate the collection to be worth anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. Now again, that's taking a glimpse at most of the significant costumes. I'm sure, as you can see, the majority of this stuff has not been gone through yet. But with hundreds of boxes, who knows what you'll find. It's a once-in-a-lifetime collection. I mean, you'll never find another Michael Jackson or Jackson 5 collection again in existence. And you can't recreate this stuff, and it's all right here.
Does it make you feel good that you know that you've beaten the Jacksons?
No. It gives me a sense of satisfaction to know that I was able to ultimately collect the money that was owed my corporation. You can't let it be emotional, but damn, what they did to me, they got it back.
Jacko's lost and won in the courtroom. But he doesn't just want to sue the world.
I have founded the Heal the World Foundation to be the voice of the voiceless, the children.
Jacko's charity work is something of a legend. Despite the absence of his much heralded September the 11th single, he's healed just about everything but his shoes.
I think his main ambition is to help humanity. He's not God, he knows that. He's not a miracle worker that can say, okay, now I want world hunger to cease, or I want all the sick children to heal. Most of the charitable work he does is done very quietly. No one knows about it. But because I'm behind the scene, I see it. It is happening. It is tangible.
Even with his apparent low profile, Jacko still supports 39 charities, more than any other pop star.
I think the line out there on him that he has this incredibly huge heart and is very concerned for children. And I think that's genuine.
Jacko's generosity has stretched to an estimated $13 million. That's £9 million into the charity box. With all that work for charity, it's surprising that the most famous person in the world has found the time to give lesser mortals a helping hand with their PR.
It's not just presidents who rub shoulders with Michael Jackson. He had some fairly eccentric friends as well, just remember Bubbles. But the plastic surgery, the chimps and the oxygen tent just served to keep him in the centre of media attention.
Michael, the master manipulator of the press. I mean, he just could do no wrong with us. I mean, great stories, and he had a great publicity machine.
He wanted his career to be the greatest show on earth. So he went about the business of creating this image of himself as being completely ridiculous and a cartoon character. He posed in this hyperbaric chamber and had the pictures taken and then had them distributed. He did have a shrine to Elizabeth Taylor. He actually did go after the Elephant Man's bones. That wasn't a rumor. The media then began to create its own stories about Michael that were definitely not true. I think he has to remember that he's the one who started that. You know, he threw the first stone, and the media has just never stopped throwing stones back at him ever since.
But of all the real stories and the tabloid exposés, the media scandal that left Jacko's career in the wilderness blew up in 1993. And these exclusive pictures show Geordie Chandler, who was at the centre of that scandal. The boy who alleged child sex abuse is now a young man, and a very wealthy one, after Jacko paid tens of millions to stop the threat of criminal proceedings.
These statements about me are totally false. As I have maintained from the very beginning, I am hoping for a speedy end to this horrifying experience to which I have been subjected.
From the time that Michael was a little kid, and when most kids were building tree houses, Michael Jackson was building an image. And when those allegations came down, that image was shattered and smashed to little bits.
He doesn't seem to realize that by settling that situation 10 years ago, that he put himself in the position of being labeled as a child molester for the rest of his life.
He just wanted to stop the merry-go-round of conflict and turmoil. And if it took $20 or $30 million to do it, he was willing to pay it. And he didn't care what people thought, and that was huge for Michael Jackson.
The settlement and the scandal smashed Jacko's earning power and cost him much, much more.
Because of the molestation charges, he's lost a big chunk of his American record-buying audience.
His endorsements dried up. You don't see him tour certainly as readily as he once did. There have been tours that were canceled after that. So there was a lot of income that was lost as a result of that.
Jacko's personal relationships went into a tailspin. First, there was a marriage with Lisa Marie Presley. The daughter of the king of rock and roll hitches up with the king of pop. But all too soon, it was Heartbreak Hotel.
The marriages?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, Lisa Marie Presley, they kissed on MTV. That was probably pretty much the extent of their marriage.
Under the pressure of the sex abuse claims, Jacko became dependent on painkillers, as this video shows.
Yes. Do you recall what your answer was? Well, what's the answer? I'm asking you.
And it was Lisa Marie who helped him kick the habit.
Neither was experienced enough in life, she coming from Graceland, him coming from Neverland, to be able to recognize that that wasn't love, that really what that was compassion and empathy for each other's childhoods.
Next up was nurse and longtime friend Debbie Rowe for 2 children and a marriage that was never meant to be.
Debbie Rowe, the second wife, the mother of the children, seems to have been a vehicle for gestating and not much else.
Debbie Rowe did sort of Michael this favor by getting pregnant. I mean, that's what happened, you know. And they never intended to get married. But then when it was announced on the news, Michael's mom was not happy. So she convinced Michael and Debbie that they should get married.
Jackson has now adopted a 3rd child. So what has Jacko lost through the courts? Well, it all adds up to nearly $40 million, or £28 million, with 2 divorces, the child molestation case, and various other legal settlements.
Parker?
Personal misfortune aside, Jacko's most excessive spending is definitely self-inflicted. To start, there's lavish accommodation.
This is the Four Seasons Hotel in New York. It's nice, isn't it? When Michael Jackson's in town having some plastic surgery done down the road, this is where he comes to stay to blow some more money.
And hotel manager Thomas Steinhauer showed me round.
This is the living room of a deluxe suite. We enjoy a wonderful variety of guests, and some of them are more eccentric than others.
So major selling point, I guess, is the view.
Yeah, it's incredible view.
Empire State?
Empire State Building right there. You're here in a building that's 52 floors high, which houses the highest hotel rooms in the city.
Jacko has paid for presidential suites here, but the hotel won't confirm anything.
I've physically seen him here.
Have you?
Can you confirm it for me?
You might have seen him. You tell me.
You're sitting on one of the most comfortable beds around.
Is it one of the most expensive beds around as well?
They are. The price is not the issue here. Is it comfortable, is it not?
So it says, be aware bathtub fills in 60 seconds. You can get a full bath in a minute.
Full bath in a minute. It's one of the features of Four Seasons New York. When you're in a city as New York, everything is fast-paced, including filling up the tubs. So it's a nice little touch.
At around $10,000 per night, accommodation like this isn't over the top when you're a megastar. The thing about Jackson is he stayed here on and off for about 2 years. All the time, he had an apartment just round the corner. You remember this one, the one we saw earlier? Now that is excessive. Room service, get me a drink. Make it large.
As well as 4 on-stage brothers, Jacko has a staff of 120, and Neverland is a bit over the top. He's got the fun fair and the zoo. Maybe not as big as LA's finest, but he has got
reptiles, a pack of wolves, elephants, and most recently, a tiger.
Easy, anyone could do that. Watch this.
It's black. It's white. So which one is it? It's a good question when you're talking about Michael Jackson's skin colour, and we may have the answer.
Although Jackson says a medical condition made his skin white, his changing appearance remains a media obsession.
When we found that crate that had the stage costumes in it, there was tubes of what's called skin bleaching agent, and one was partly used.
Well, both look like they've been used actually, don't they?
Possibly.
Most skin discolorations begin to lighten after a few weeks of this treatment.
Well, I can't say he uses it, but it was in the drawer with the outfits.
We have seen Michael Jackson morph from, you know, a very handsome young black man into a middle-aged white woman, you know.
But what's interesting, he also did some sketches of different noses. Afro-American nose, different noses.
Bizarrely, nothing like he ended up, because I'm not quite sure. I presume that's meant to be him, isn't it?
Could be, or what he wanted to be.
When Michael looked at the man in the mirror, I think he saw his father Joseph, and that was one reflection he didn't want to see. His feelings for Joseph were so
so strong, so passionately negative.
Well, the photograph looks like he's had his nose worked on and his chin, obviously, and something done to his skin. The number of operations would be impossible to guess. I mean, without either seeing him or talking to him, it could be anywhere from 5 to 20 to 30. The cost of something like that could be anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000.
Everything Jacko does is on an extravagant scale, from changing his face to spending $30 million making a new album.
There's no doubt that Michael Jackson is one of the kings of the big spenders. I mean, an extremely lavish lifestyle.
Taking into account absolutely everything he shelled out last year, Jacko spent on average, wait for it, more than $100,000 a day, 69,000 quid. That's a Barrett starter home every 24 hours. But now he just can't afford it, so Jacko's been borrowing big time.
His biggest investments are in his song catalogs and in Neverland, real estate and music, which on the face of it would seem like very good investments. But unfortunately, he uses them constantly to borrow against. His debts are threatening to suffocate him.
Jackson was forced to settle some debts with Sony by selling the company half the lucrative Beatles catalogue, albeit at 4 times what he paid for it. But his debts, especially with Sony, still run to $250 million, £172 million. That's a hell of a lot of IOUs. He's simply spending more than he's earning, with one of his main forms of income, record sales, on the slide.
Remember, Thriller sold more than 50 million copies. Then there was Bad, that did 25 million. Good. Dangerous did 26 million. Then we're down to History, which did 15 million. Quite good for most artists, but for Michael Jackson, sorry, not good enough. Then there was Blood on the Dance Floor, down to the lower numbers, 4 million. And finally, Invincible, just a measly 2 million. So why have sales collapsed? DJ David Morales remixed Scream and Thriller without actually meeting his idol, but he has got a theory.
You have to evolve with the times because everything changes. And you can't just hire in a show and come back with the same moves. You know, how many times you're gonna flip the leg out and grab the crotch and all this kind of bit, and you know, so I don't think Michael really goes out to see kids dance, you know, to see what's going on. I mean,
Jacko's using all the latest producers, but can the stars of today tell the star of yesterday how to move with the times?
it's almost like when I work with Mariah. If I want her to sing different, you know, to build the courage to say, well, you know, can you try this a little different? You know, you've done this too many times already. You know what I mean? I think it'd be harder for a new Jack producer, no matter how successful he is, to say that to Michael.
The syncopated way he sings, the visual effects of putting the hat down, you know, began to look to me like cliches. He's copying himself.
He's made a lot of miscalculations in recent years, especially in the most recent year. But you know, he is in charge and he is responsible, and he gets to take credit when it's successful, but he also has to accept the blame when it's not.
After all the scandals, Jacko's now trying to kickstart his career.
Here's a question for the audience. What was the title of Michael Jackson's last album?
Right, here we are. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. His latest album is called Invincible. It could prove he's anything but.
Michael is completely willing to admit to his inner circle that the present album was, in his view, a huge failure. And I think that he wishes he had done a lot of it differently in terms of promotion and publicity. But I think anybody who listens to Invincible has to agree it's not a bad album.
Invincible comes in 5 different flavors, anything to prop up the sales figures.
The 2 million copies, the bulk of them were sold in the first couple of weeks to his die-hard fans. And in fact, there was some question at the beginning whether some of the fans weren't going in and buying 15 or 20 copies at a time.
can't top Michael Jackson. Even he now cannot top himself. So the only story that would really be a blockbuster that I can think of is Michael Jackson makes an album that really sells fantastically well.
So, just how much is Michael Jackson actually worth? He's earned over $500 million, but what's left after tax and all that excessive spending? Well, take those monster debts from his lucrative investments to discover our exclusive liquid assets total. Today, the king of pop is worth a disappointing third of $1 billion, just £225 million. He's hardly on the breadline, but it's not much for 30 years at the top of the pop world.
He certainly lives like a billionaire, but in fact, Michael's financial situation is dire, to say the least.
This might be a bit of a bombshell for you guys, but this is going to be his last album for Sony. He really wants a fresh start.
Frankly, I don't think Michael can go to another record company. I don't think another record company right now would take him.
Do I think that he can create an album that was as big as Thriller? Yes. Do I think it will happen? I have no idea.
Michael Jackson, the global icon who once launched albums by sailing a 30-foot statue down the Thames. The world superstar who now has to settle for personal appearances at Exeter City Football Club. There's nowhere else for him to go. Don't you believe it?
He called me up and he says, Uri, I want to walk on the moon. I want to do my moonwalk. I'm not going to be surprised if it's going to happen. Can you imagine the world media? Can you imagine 6 billion people are going to watch that? Michael Jackson in his spacesuit doing the moonwalk on the moon.
So if Michael Jackson does move from Neverland into space, it'll be a fitting finale to a career that's certainly been out of this world. And what many have been suspecting for some time will be true. Jacko would be on another planet.
The guy can move, you have to give him credit. He kind of looks like a woman in a way, but I still love his music.
My mom's a big fan.
He still has it, but you can see he's a little bit worn out. Freaky, talented, unbelievable.
1 to 10, he's still a 10.
He's really weird. Weird and kind of dumb.